Italian author Antonio Gramsci built upon Marxist theory. He is known today for the contemporary use of the term cultural hegemony. Gramsci was the founder and leader of Italy's Communist Party. He was incarcerated by the Italian government for his opposition to Benito Mussolini.
Gramsci Antonio, prenda il materasso e raduni la roba, c'è il trasferimento.
While in prison, Gramsci wrote his theory in a series of notebooks. According to scholars and historians, Gramsci's work consisted of about 30 notebooks and approximately 3,000 pages of written analysis. On April 27, 1937, Gramsci died while imprisoned by the fascist Italian regime. Hegemony. Hegemony is the domination or influence of one group, entity, or set of ideas over another. Hegemony is rooted in self-interest and the pursuit of the hegemonic goal of maintaining a subordinate state.
Prepare to pay the ultimate price.
One of the most common tactics used by the ruling class is selling the dream of upward mobility to all citizens, regardless of their situation or upbringing. In the United States, you may be familiar with the American dream rhetoric. The ruling class consistently echoes the common talking point that if you dedicate yourself to education, training, risk-taking, and hard work, then you too can attain the American dream.
America has made a remarkable economic recovery. Some even call it a miracle. But as the recovery has gathered steam, inequity in the US has worsened. Millions of workers have slipped into low-paid, part-time jobs, swelling the ranks of the working poor, while the American middle class steadily withers.
There's a chart I saw recently that I can't get out of my head. A Harvard business professor and economist asked more than 5,000 Americans how they thought wealth was distributed in the United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups of the top, bottom, and middle 3 20% groups, they asked people how they thought the wealth in this country was divided. Then he asked them what they thought was the ideal distribution. And 92%, that's at least 9 out of 10 of them, said it should be more like this. In other words, more equitable than they think it is. Now that fact is telling, admittedly, the notion that most Americans know that the system is already skewed unfairly. But what's most interesting to me is the reality compared to our perception. The ideal is as far removed from our perception of reality as the actual distribution is from what we think exists in this country. So ignore the ideal for a moment. Here's what we think it is again. And here is the actual distribution. Shockingly skewed. Not only do the bottom 20% and the next 20%, the bottom 40% of Americans barely have any of the wealth. I mean, it's hard to even see them on the chart. But the top 1% has more of the country's wealth than 9 out of 10 Americans believe the entire top 20% should have. Mind-blowing. But let's look at it another way, because I find this chart kind of difficult to wrap my head around.
So it's actually 9 pieces of pie.
Wow.
Yeah. 90% of the wealth is right here in the top.
That's terrible.
Now, the upper middle class and the middle class, they share one piece. So these guys, they've got about 80% of a piece. They get 20% of a piece. And then the lower middle class, they've got 0.3% of a piece. Yeah, they have some crumbs there. There you go. That's what they get. And the poorest, they have no pie. In fact, they have less than no pie. They actually have a bill for pie. They're in pie debt. They owe pie.
People in the poorest 20% are, on average, more than $6,000 in debt.
It's very sad.
Yeah?
It's very sad. It's very depressing. I grew up here.
Really?
When we say the American dream, you can define that a lot of different ways, but I think core to that is the idea that this country is a land of opportunity where anybody who works hard and plays by the rules can achieve a baseline of material security for themselves and a better life for their children, while those who go the extra mile and develop special skills or are born with special gifts will be able to rise in society no matter where they're born, and make great contributions to our country. And this is called the American dream and not the American reality for a reason. We've never fully achieved that.
Ascribing to these hegemonic ideologies produces a sense of false consciousness. You need not look further than your own social circle to realize that it often takes more than sacrifice, risk-taking, and hard work to be successful in a hegemonic society. How many hard-working individuals do you know of that have multiple degrees and take risk, yet live paycheck to paycheck? I would guess that everyone can think of someone who meets this description. Nonetheless, blindly believing what the elitist is peddling is one form of false consciousness.
I want to reach 1 million likes. So please, sarapakarahin. Okay, thank you.